and like whatever. And the mom's like, no plea bargain. We're not doing a plea bargain. After what they did to us. And then the daughter and me at the same time were like, to you? What did they do to you? And she was like, this is when I was like, okay, the mom can go away. Because you are not the one who can't hear and see. Yeah. So shut up, maybe. But then the mom is like, they took away my sense of feeling this world was safe for my children. It's like, lady, it wasn't safe before. What? Shut up. That's go. That's a way to make your child's trauma about you.
Grab some popcorn and stick around. We've got some garbage to talk about.
Hi, Rogue.
Hey, Zax.
Hi, Karina.
Hey, Zax. Hey, Rogue.
Hi, Karina.
Today, we are talking about a Lifetime movie.
Buckle up.
Okay.
There's your first red flag.
We've got some, like, business to attend to. I think before we get into this movie, things I need to address before we dive in, just so we're all on board here. The movie is called Girlfight. It is based on a true story and not in like the vague, like some people died before, let's say that.
Some girls had a fight before.
Yeah.
Yes.
Relatable.
This is they changed the name of the protagonist and they embellished some details, but it is very based on the real event of a woman in high school at the time, Victoria Lindsay, who was assaulted for a YouTube video.
What?
Oh, no.
This happened in 2007.
Jeez.
That does very much sound like 2007 too.
Yeah.
I went down the rabbit wheel. Do not look this
I'm sorry.
up.
You went down the what?
I meant to say rabbit hole. I don't know what I said.
The rabbit wheel.
The rabbit wheel. I don't know where wheel came from, but I went there. I rolled around and
to hop in the hamster ball.
This is legit horrifying that the internet was like this at one point.
And still is in some places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like, as a society, let's do better. I read, fortunately, the real victim in real life doing great. She's an engineer, killing it. Great.
Let's go women in STEM programs.
Yeah, love to hear it. Okay, second thing. So, like, we're going to talk about the movie, and I don't want this to reflect on, like, the real events that happened on people. That was that. But this movie, I'm assuming, sensationalized things quite a bit in different ways. And that's what I want to talk about. Then before we get into the plot, one thing, very small nitpick, but it's kind of a big nitpick for me. A lot of the soundtrack in this movie sounds like very generic coffee shop music.
I feel like that isn't uncommon for Lifetime movies.
I mean, a lot of times it's like generic pop. Like,
okay.
I feel like, I don't know, like,
like royalty-free music?
Yeah, but I'll play this for you, and it's like, I feel like this track was named Generic Coffee Shop. It's like a lot of vocalizing, like, it's very interesting, and I was like, this only exists in a Starbucks somewhere. Why is it here? And, like, for the setting, it's literally like a girl at home doing her homework with her sister around, and this music. It just was a weird pick.
It's lo-fi beats.
To chill and relax, too.
I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I didn't like it there. It was weird. But, okay. All that being said, let's go into the Lifetime movie Girlfight.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so the movie starts with, her name's Haley, and she has a friend who actually, we've seen Haley before. Haley was if you guys saw Case 39, she was a little girl in that, and she was also in a Twilight movie. Gosh, I think it was Eclipse. Do you remember which Twilight was it where they just randomly turned some chick and then like she was just scared the whole time and it was like, why are you here?
Which one was that?
That was definitely Eclipse.
Okay, well, it's her. She's in this. She's the lead star. So and she's also a very good actress. I liked her in Case 39. And like
she did really good at Twilight.
I mean,
all things considered.
That's kind of the theme of Twilight, right? Is that it was a bunch of really good actors in a terrible movie.
Yeah, giving it their all. Sometimes
I approve of it. Honestly, acting is like stellar. I do approve of the acting. I think people are too. I think people just needed to read the books and then they would have gotten it. Because I think a lot of the people who are down on the acting didn't read the books. But
I think Twilight is fine because nearly all of the actors have redeemed themselves in other movies.
Yeah.
Like Kristen Stewart is absolutely killing it in every movie she's in.
I really feel like it was directed poorly, Twilight, and that's why the acting looks so bad.
Yeah, because she was an actor before, and she was really good. Like, even as a child. The Twilight was just...
Speak was really good. What I would say, though, is, like, I definitely approve more of the first Twilight movie than the rest of them, and, like, I feel like, and this is, like, not me trying to be biased, but, like, they fired the lady director and just got some guy to do the rest of them.
So what does this say, everybody? More female directors, please.
Yes. You know, a lady directed American Psycho, people. So, like, check your privilege or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Let's see if Bob leaves that in the final cut.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so moving any of this. Okay, so back to the movie. Oh, also, so it's Haley, Twilight scared girl, and... She has a name, I'll find it. But Haley is the main star, and she has a best friend who has also been featured in a movie talked about on Kind of Friends. It was the best friend from Zapped.
Oh.
So she's the best friend in this.
Did you see Danny Gonzalez might make a video on Zapped?
I'm coming for him.
This man just can't stop copying
Can't leave us alone.
And now he's bringing Curtis in on this, and like... I cannot believe how much beef I have with people who don't know me.
Who don't know we exist.
Yeah.
It's really like, okay, people listening, maybe you think this is like all fun and games, but do you understand? I have a nemesis who doesn't know he is my nemesis. When he did a video on Pixel Perfect, my favorite decom that I hadn't even gotten to yet here, I was so gutted. I do not want to make a video on Pixel Perfect because of him.
Oh no.
Not that you guys are really...
Make that Pixel Perfect video and make it better than Danny.
Oh my gosh.
Stop stealing our content.
He's picking on smaller YouTubers for the worst.
This is a problem, Danny.
For legal reasons, this is all a joke. Please do not go on twitter.com and harass Danny Gonzalez.
Our tens of fans.
Yeah. Unless he likes this kind of thing and is down to start beef with us. Because, like, let's go. Because, like, I like that song. It's a bop and a half. So, like, let's do this for real. Now the shoe's on the other foot, Danny. Okay, back to the movie. We haven't even started it yet.
Yeah, I don't even know what this movie's about yet.
It's about a girl fight. What else do you need to know? Okay, so they want us to know right off the bat how awful these popular girls are. So it starts in with they're like looking at a girl fight one of the other popular girls recorded on her phone, and then one girl, Kristen, she's like the toughest of the mean girls. But don't worry, we'll get to know their tropes later. But she's like the toughest one. She's like, you call this a fight? And the Taylor's like, well, it looked good and people like the video. Okay, so the main mean girl of the world, Alexa, And then she looks at her and she's like, I'm not done watching it yet, when the girl tries to get her phone back, and then Taylor, the girl who said it first, is like, oh, sorry. So they're all like, so she's in charge because she said that. And then they start moving. So now Haley and her friend are at lunch, and now suddenly they were sitting at a table, and now all of them are gathered around the friend, so she cannot get up from her seat.
Oh.
Because they're talking around her like that. Like, which is like such a weird flex of power, because then she gets up and then like Alexa's like, you just pushed my butt, and are you gonna like learn to walk R slur so awful. They just threw that in there.
Yeah, it's 2007. We can say it if it's set in 2007.
Yeah. What's that one Hillary Duff PSA? When you say gay, it's offensive, right? when you refer to something as gay, it's
when you call something gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. I remember that commercial.
I feel like the joke would have been funnier if I got it right on the first try.
We'll cut it together. We'll just like put my words out of your mouth, because there's a visual element to this.
Maybe we'll just put the PSA.
Yeah, I'll just flip it. But then, okay, so she gets up and then she's like, and then the best friend is like, oh, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. And then she says, no, you being bored was a mistake, which is such a heavy throw.
So mean.
I definitely thought that was going to happen. No, you're a mistake. Really hit him with a no you.
Ooh,
which
got
I
him.
Which I also think is just like, not to be like a nitpicker here, but like, okay, what you mean is her conception was a mistake, because like the mom wasn't just pregnant for 9 months on accident.
Oops. When you get pregnant.
You'll give birth by mistake.
Oh no, oops, my water broke. That was so unexpected.
Although there was that show, I didn't know I was pregnant, so I mean, like it was at the same time.
That's
Guys, I have a really funny prank. So first you need to meet a guy. And then, go for it. And then 9 months later, you're going to have a 24-hour active labor. And then the baby comes out and you go, haha, so funny.
Got him.
Dab, 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 dab.
You just got pranked.
That's what all of the 40-year-old moms did.
Oh, jeez.
That's
Dab, dab, Fortnite. Am I right, millennials?
Oh, gosh.
So like already you know that they're bad. But here's the thing. Haley is super smart. She skipped a grade. She got accepted to Oregon State, and she's going to college next year. So she's in a bunch of senior classes. And she's in a senior class with a few of these popular girls, including Alexa. And, oof. Okay. So, this is so weird. So, like, obviously, from a bit of what I've already hinted, you can see why they had to have this English lesson. But I don't know what this English teacher's, or this history teacher's politics are. Because he's like, so as we're talking about, the Supreme Court is taking away more of our freedoms. And then Haley raises her hand and she's like, actually, I feel like the Supreme Court has been continuously expanding on our freedoms, like when they decided that it was okay for high schoolers to protest wars. And then she, like, is going to cite something, and then the girls in the back are like,
What and then, stupid like, smarty pants.
Yeah. And then, like, Haley can't finish her thing, and then the teacher looks over like, do you girls have something interesting to say about how our freedoms have been impacted on?
Okay.
Or whatever he says. And then she's like, yeah, like the freedom to post my nudes. And then he's like, that's actually an interesting point.
You can't talk about this.
Teacher,
yeah, okay.
No.
Okay. I'm glad you guys are there.
Oh, no.
No, okay, because here's what he says. He's like, that's an interesting point. Like, what can you post online and what can send you to jail? Like, Send me your nudes, maybe. Anybody? Like, what are you doing, sir? Why are you
Federal
doing
prison.
that?
Do that.
In my
Federal
English,
prison.
okay, like in my English class, I had some girls who were like not this extreme because I don't think any girls in real life have ever been like that.
these
Actually,
are not real people.
But they were like, if I was going to say they were like girls like this, like these were the girls in my school, and like anytime they tried to pull anything even close to that, my teacher was literally just go stand outside. Did not engage at all. He was like, just go away.
I am not being paid enough to engage in this conversation. Please remove yourself from my site.
Which, like, I have mixed
Fair.
feelings about, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, yeah, now that I'm, like, at the time, I was like, that's so weird to make, like, grown girls stand outside, but now that I'm looking back, like, honestly, I'm glad you did that instead of, like, anything else teachers on TV do.
Instead
like,
of encouraging this conversation to continue.
yeah, just nip it in the, just go away, kid, you're an idiot, goodbye.
Like, time out.
Okay, so then out, like, so she feels unseen, and now she's at home and she's doing her homework with her sister, and her sister is like, says something like, her sister's 7, she's like in high school, and Haley's high school age, and her sister is like, oh, I don't want to eat this apple, it hurts my loose tooth, and she's like, okay, I'll cut it for you. And she's like, you know, these apples are good for you. And she's like, I'm too dumb for things to be good for me or something.
What?
And then she's like, why would you
What?
say that? And she's like, the girls at school say I'm dumb. And she's like, no, don't listen to what they say. And then the mom walks in, Anne H., which, like, a lot of the advertising is about. But I don't know what else she's been in, to be honest. But
What's her name? Anne.
H, H-E-C-H-E.
She is in Psycho, but the 1998 version.
With Vince Vaughn, okay.
She's in
Ooh.
Chicago PD,
Okay.
which is a garbage show, but
Okay,
I
but
haven't
so
che-
is,
That's
So-
not going to be my next Criminal Minds.
No, okay, so very brief tangent on Chicago PD. It's one of those cop shows where, like, oh, we have real police officers contributing to the writing of the show. And it really shows because it is actual pro-police propaganda.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
and it's super racist. Like, all of the
Not
terrorists
surprised.
are Arabic.
Oh
All
my
of the
gosh.
gang members are black. There's a specific scene where I'm going to try to keep this very short. So it's a black police officer and a white police officer, and they're in like a lower income area, and they're like investigating a crime. Another thing, it's a cop show where the police are interrogating people, and they can like just assault them and harass them to get out information, which like is not allowed, but whatever. So these two officers are in this community, and they're like, oh, have you seen this person? And this guy's like, no, I haven't. And the white police officer is like harassing him. And then I'm pretty sure that this was like filmed at the time of like the murder of Mike Brown. Because it was like, oh, are you guys filming this? Are you seeing this? And like all that stuff. And then later on, the black police officer was like, you know, I think we would maybe get better results when we're interacting with black folks if we weren't so aggressive and like pulled our guns out at them the second we saw them. And then the white police officer, whatever his name is, hate this character, but he's like, oh, I don't know what type of situation I'm going into. I have to expect the worst. Blah, blah, blah. I'm protecting myself. I'm like, shut up.
So what you're saying
Literally
is that
shut up.
Chicago PD is just ACAB the show, apparently.
Yeah, it's every time I see I need to find this one video, and maybe we can review it at some point because it's such a garbage show. I hate it. It's terrible. If you're gonna watch any of the Chicago shows, I guess Chicago Med is okay. I don't know too much about Chicago Fire. I think that one's also fine. Don't watch Chicago PD. It's terrible.
There's your KLF recommendation for this episode.
Yeah. This wasn't really Kind of Friends educational moment because I didn't get into like the boys club of like the police system.
Oh my gosh.
But like that's another video.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't
It's
have time
just
for that right
yeah.
It
now.
was
We'll
just a
circle-
small review inside a
Yeah.
review.
Yeah.
Right. Okay,
Karina
so-
reviews Chicago PD in 8 seconds.
So circling back,
Yeah.
Anne H is the mom. She walks in and she's like, what did the girls say? And then Haley is like, the girls at school called her dumb, Mom. And then she hugs her daughter and she says, well, that's not true. Don't listen to that. And puts her daughter down and is done. And I'm like, oh, we're done?
Yeah,
I'm glad this was such a great moment.
What? And I was like, okay, so like basically like Parent of the Year award, I guess, for like this, which is why again, like I preface this whole thing with like I'm not saying anything about the real people, but as far as this movie is concerned, that was a garbage reaction.
Yeah.
To your kid. And then she's like, you should call the school. And then she's like, oh, you were the one who always begged me not to call when they made fun of you. And she was like, well, I didn't want to be a rat, but that's different when they're talking about my sister. And I was like, all of you, just shut up. Just do something. Help this girl.
Do something.
Yeah, ask what the girl wants. Why are you talking for her?
Yeah, like, she's just, and also the kid, like, they were done. They didn't think of any more lines for her. She's just, like, spitting in the corner, basically.
They're like, all right, we don't need this kid anymore.
Then the dad...
She's a child. She can only have an 8-hour film day.
Only an 8-hour film day.
The scene took up the 8 hours. Yeah, I work for like a film thing now, so I know the rules with like minors in filming.
That sucks that it's still 8 hours. That's way too many.
It may not be 8 hours. I think I just needed a number.
Oh, okay.
I think there's like
maybe it's different in Canada.
Well, anything goes there.
Yeah. It's the Wild West of filmmaking here.
Yeah.
That's why everybody goes there to make films.
Yeah.
Yeah, like-
oh, you need New York City? How is Toronto?
Yeah.
Establishing shot of the Empire State Building, Queen Street.
So then, like, the dad comes home and he's like, hey, what's going on? And then Haley is just like, ugh, being a teenager is so hard. Ugh. She leaves. And then she goes upstairs to her room and then she's like on Facebook and she just posts, Alexis Simmons is so stupid. Ha ha ha. And then she goes to work.
It's giving cyberbully.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, we have to talk about cyberbully one of these days.
Gosh.
I love cyberbullying. I think
so bad.
I think it's a masterpiece. I think
Excellent cinema.
I know YMS already did like a whole video on it, but I still think the best part of the whole thing, she can't even get the bottle open. And I'm like, it's Tylenol, it's regular. Like, it's barely kid-proof.
My sister told me the first time she watched Cyberbully, she bawled her eyes out.
Oh my gosh.
She was like, and then I'm like, at Cyberbully? She's like, listen, at the time, I felt very seen. I'm like, are you okay? She's like, now I am.
That's kind of all
That's
you can
another,
ask
I
to
feel like
that.
that's another instance of a pretty decent actor, Emma, what's her name? Emily Osment.
Emily Osment.
Yeah. One of them.
Just not getting good direction or being in a bad mood. Like, so disappointing.
It's just not a good movie.
It's not a good movie.
Yeah. I just a lot of things that went down in that movie. But okay, back to this bad movie. She goes to work and she works at a restaurant. She's like a waitress there, and the popular girls are sitting there, and then they're all like, one girl is like, hey, did you bring your purse? And she was like, I thought it was your turn to pay, to Kristen. And then Kristen's like, I'm not paying. And then they're like, we know you're not paying. And then
We all
like,
know you're broke.
Yeah, and then she's like, I told you, my dad lost his job. And they're all like,
Jeez.
we know, you never shut up about it. And I'm like, what, are you friends?
This is an awful friend group.
So then they call Haley over, and then Alexa's like, hey, you're really smart. We've got a problem. We can't pay the bill. And then she's like, oh, it's okay. I can take care of it. You can just pay me back tomorrow. And then they're like, oh, thanks. That's sweet of you. And then whatever. The next day at school, she's like, they run into each other in the bathroom. And then Alexa's like, sorry, I don't have your money. I'm just so bad with it. It slips through my fingers. And then she's like, oh, my family's the opposite. It's like money clench fistitis or something. And then they like bond a little bit over her not being broke, I guess.
I have so much money. Oh my god, me too. Besties.
Because she's like, but I have to work for it. And it's like, but also, like, it sounds like your family's more fiscally responsible than her family, I guess. I don't know what's going on. Also, I don't know why they went to, like, it looked like a kind of a bistro type of place. I don't know why they didn't go to, like, Chipotle if they knew they couldn't pay.
Did Chipotle exist in 2007?
Almost certainly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't think it came into, like, my radar yet, but I'm sure it was
I mean,
somewhere.
Chipotle
But, like,
didn't come to where I live until, like, 2013, so...
Gosh, I love Chipotle, but the Chipotle near me is real hit or miss, if I'm being honest. Like, sometimes it'll be so good, and then sometimes the rice isn't even cooked all the way, and I'm like, I wish there was just, like, a way for me to know.
It was founded in 1993.
Okay, that's cool. It's still very good. Do like it. We stand a Chipotle.
Chipotle.
I love Chipotle. Chipotle is my life.
It took me a minute to come around on Chipotle.
It definitely, to me, since I live in the Southwest, feels like a New York version of Mexican food.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I'll still eat it.
Yeah, sometimes you're just like, I'm starving, I need Chipotle.
Yeah.
It does really feel like an achievement when you eat an entire Chipotle burrito
So,
in one sitting.
okay. So circling back, Alexa invites Haley to a little party she's having at her house tonight. And Haley is like, "Oh my god, this is fine. It's finally happening for me. I'm being seen." This did remind me of my growing up because it was so funny. Me and one friend, we bonded over having parents like this, who I guess cared about her general well-being. I don't know. But her mom insists on walking her to the door and saying hi before she drops her off because she doesn't know any of these friends. And she's like, "Mom, that's so cringe. Please go away." And then the mom says, "You can either let me say hi really quick, or I can go home and tell your dad, and then he'll come over and introduce himself." And I was like, ugh. I mean, like, this is why I'm not a parent, and this is why I don't think I'm really looking forward to it at all. Because part of me is
At
like,
all.
my parents were the type of parents that were like, I need to talk to their parents before you go over there.
Yeah, that's how my mom was too.
Yeah, and so that seems like a general thing, but, like, it was like me and my one friend in high school, it was just the two of us who had this going on. Everyone else was like, ew, why? Why do your parents, like, care about you, I guess? I don't know. But I felt her on that level. I was like, yeah, the mom introduces herself to everybody. She's like, "Hi," and then we meet Alexa's grandma, and that's who raises her. And grandma is like the old warden of these parts because she's just like, "Oh yeah, I'll have you know the girls are more trouble than the boys. This one here is Kristen. She's clumsy around glass. That's Taylor. She's always taking picture of herself like some kind of model. And that's Taylor. She's the real troublemaker." And then Taylor's like, "But I'm sweet though." And I'm like, I love that she's just like introducing people by their like trope or whatever. And she's like,
she's super clumsy. She's super slutty.
Yeah, basically.
Thanks, Grandma.
And then the mom is like, "Okay," and like, "There won't be alcohol here, right?" And then they're like, "No, there won't be." And then one of the guys tries to, unfortunately, and they all have a laugh or whatever. And
then
alcohol
in this drink? No, of course not. What kind of mother do you think I am? Although, would you like a little bit? Because if you're gonna drink, I'd rather it be in the house.
I like that she's like, "No, I'm okay. It's fine.
No, fine.
I'm very scared now." But
Mom, pick me up. There's alcohol.
She like texts Janice, "What have you got me into? This is too much. I'm back out.
I gotta leave for
She
something
can have
short
her
now.
Samuels." That's like my retcon of how it should have ended.
It's your headcanon.
Yeah.
My
Movie ends
headcanon.
there.
Then they had a fun year. They did go to Janice's art show.
Yeah.
Aw.
And Regina George didn't break her spine.
Okay. then the grandma's like, okay, well, like, I'm a nurse and I'm working the graveyard shift. I was just here in my lunch hour. Let me walk you out, Mom. And she's like, oh, you guys will be here alone. Okay. But she lets him leave. And then as soon as she leaves, Alexa's like, your mom is so cute and so clueless. So she whips out this bottle that was hiding behind a book. She's like, hiding in plain sight. So then they all play. Then here's my thing. Like, okay, I get that they're establishing, like, she's working her way in with the popular crowd. But then, like, one of the guys is like, hey, I drink beer. Do you want one? And she's like, okay, sure. And then Alexa's like, we all chipped in to pay for it. And I'm like, you still haven't paid her back for like 6 people's dinner? Like, it was like, it looked like a cute enough bistro. There were like 5 of you and she paid for the whole bill?
I think she's covered.
I also want to comment on, like, the hiding in plain sight of the alcohol. I don't know how many of you, like, drank as teenagers. Don't do it, first of all. It only leads to chaos and crying. But when we were drinking as teenagers, you hid that Mickey of vodka in, like, 3 layers of backpack. Like, you weren't just putting it in the living room.
Behind a book.
Behind a book, like, ooh, I'm so sneaky, like, that was in the back of your closet.
Yeah,
for no one to find.
At the same time, this is no one's first rodeo, and Grams has been had it with everybody.
Grandma doesn't have her glasses on. She can't see.
She's like, don't get into too many shenanigans or I'll whoop you. Okay, bye, I don't care. Going to work.
Going to work.
Okay, so then they play Spin the Bottle, and Haley has a wild night. She has her first kiss with a boy, and she kisses Alexa.
What? Scandalous.
I'm doing the limp wrist right now.
Her first kiss with a boy and a girl.
What a crazy
I love this
night.
bisexual representation.
It's so funny, too, because then, like, especially because, like, when I was like, okay, are you guys, especially with more stuff we're gonna say, I'm like, okay, in an alternate universe where this isn't about a girl fight, were you guys just gonna date? Because she kisses the guy and like he just kind of gives her a smooch and then Haley goes for it like harder. They're like, whoa, Junior, because she's a year younger than everybody. And then, I mean, like, junior to senior, that's not that crazy, is it? I don't know.
But like just calling her Junior, it's like kind of gross.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking, yeah, no, that's fair. I'll take that there.
Not to trauma dump, but like I had a guy when I was 19, he referred to me as a minor when he was like 24. I was like, this is disgusting.
Jeez. Yeah.
Okay. Like there were worse things he did, but like that should have been a red flag.
I mean, I think the thing about red flags is they aren't as bright as they should be for sometimes. I don't know.
Especially when you're
in it.
Yeah, and like don't have experience with them.
Yeah. What's that one BoJack Horseman quote? When you're wearing rose-colored glasses, the red flags just look like flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is. BoJack Horseman is just such a, like, everyone should watch it. Like,
I still haven't seen it.
I recommend it a lot, but I think people, like,
it's heavier than you would expect it to be.
I've heard that.
It's heard that. It's like if you follow it for the ride, I think it's an experience. Like, but anyway, I think some people are put off by the bestiality aspect of it, like, which, like, I mean,
like, regular
out
show.
Of context, that sounds terrible.
But, like, regular show, they were all animals, and they always dated people.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like...
I think, it is the same thing, but I think there are people who have the same issue with regular show, if they had that issue. But also, I don't know, I can't really think of, I mean, like, Benson's a gumball machine, and he's the only one I can actually remember dating, like, humans.
I'm pretty sure there were...
Because Mordecai just basically dated Cloud, Bat, Bird. Rigby dated Eileen, and she's not a human.
That's true.
I forget what she is. Okay, back to this movie.
Yeah, I forgot we were talking about Lifetime.
Okay. Well, we've been here for a lifetime. But, Okay, so then I really was like thinking they were gonna like date or something, because Alexa so first Haley, like, she goes for the kiss or whatever, and she's like all in it, everyone's like woo, and then Alexa goes, when it lands on her to kiss her, she's like, I hope you're drunk enough for this. Ugh. And I'm like, okay, this is like I've never actually played Spin the Bottle, but like, if this is how it goes down, I'm like, whoa, jeez, Sir Greaser, this is salacious.
Has anyone in real life actually played Spin the Bottle?
I know people that have, but I have not played it. But I know people. Actually, no, I wasn't there. But yeah,
So
it's definitely a high school thing. Because why would you ever do it any other time?
that
You don't hang out with your college friends and you're like, who wants to kiss each other?
He wants to play Spin the Bottle.
Yeah. You don't need to play Spin the Bottle to kiss your college friends.
Dropout. They had a podcast, Tales from the Closet, that Allie Beardsley hosts, and they were talking about sleepovers at one point, and they were like, honestly, like, the closeted queer kid was the one who was bringing out all those games up to the thing, like, and I was
like, let's make truth or dare.
Yeah, like,
and it never went the way you wanted it to.
No, exactly.
Okay, anyway, memories. But anyway,
we'll save that for Pride 2022.
Just let's be sad about how it was to be in the closet.
See, our last Pride collection was like fun and cute and educational. The next one is just gonna be a real downer.
We're just gonna be sad
Yeah.
and cry for 20 minutes. It'll be really artsy though. Shia will love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have this. The next day she's talking with her best friend, and her friend's like, you got drunk and kissed a boy and Alexa? You think being drunk is a game? And she was like, I had one beer, I wasn't drunk, but like, I mean, yeah, it was a game of Spin the Bottle. I had fun. I just, was trying it. And then, like, they show, like, the friend gets the cold shoulder because they, like, come and they're like, sorry, we're gonna steal her from you. Bye. Which I'm also like, no, they can never come. It's always just the one. And I'm like, I mean, it seems like she didn't want to hang. Oh, also, she said another thing about Alexa being dumb after she bought her dinner. I forgot about that one. So there's 2 mean posts about these girls. Okay. So now they're best friends, and they're, like, all hanging out all the time. And at lunch, one of the girls, Kristen, she's, like, the tough one. And they're at the table, and then she's like, this is so stupid. But, okay, Taylor's the one who takes pictures of herself all the time. So they take the phone, and they all, like, do something dumb on it, like, or bunny ears, or, like, just something. So then when Taylor looks at her phone, she'll be like, why'd you do that?
Oh my god, you took 80 selfies while I went to the bathroom?
Basically, that's the whole point. And then Kristen burps on it, and then another girl, Taylor's like, I can burp better than you. Or it's not Taylor. I don't know what her name is. Whatever,
one of the girls.
Tyler.
Not picture one, but troublemaker one is like, I can burp more than you. And then she's like, I just need a can of soda. And then she's like, you cannot outburp me. So then they go and leave. And then Alexa says to Haley, not the best idea. She's like, not the classiest either. And then Alexa's like, what did you say? That she doesn't have class? And she's like, no, I didn't say that. And then
that line was definitely written by a grown woman. Because I can't imagine any teenagers being like, you don't think I have class?
That's not very classy.
Oh my god, that is super classist of you.
And I was like watching this movie though, and I was like, okay, I've never really judged anybody by their class or lack thereof, and like I don't even really think I'm classy, but I'm like, okay, but you're like, okay, but Kristen like legitimately just is not classy. Like, if it's up for debate, you lost, hon. You're not classy. Anyway.
You don't think
so
I have class? Packet of Abigail Shapiro.
Right. But yeah, no.
Hey,
like,
classics.
Is that what she calls them?
That's her thing. Because
Oh,
like her whole thing is like modern women nowadays don't have class, and I'm like, Abby, you can't cook, okay? I've seen your cooking. Let's start there.
Abigail Shapiro is so interesting to me.
My God,
She's interesting to everybody, I think.
Well, yeah, that's
something
that's
about
kind of her
right-wing
hustle.
conservative women. They infuriate me to no end, but I'm also like, how did you get here?
Here's my question though. What
happened?
Okay, real quick, and like we don't need to discuss this. I just want to put this question in the air. Leave a comment if you have an answer. What do you think classically Abby thinks about Caitlin Bennett? Is she a class act? Because like she pooped herself at a party.
Yeah, that's not very classy.
Let's not forget. That's not a class. That's not classically Abby material.
Oh my God, have any of you seen the TikTok account that is run by Caitlin's half-sister?
No.
The tea this lady spills. There's my favorite is somebody found like a family photo of Caitlin Bennett when she was like 9, and somebody said it looks like she chewed rocks, and then her sister said no, for real, she had silver teeth because she chewed rocks.
Oh my gosh.
Just top tier content.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so back to this. Then Haley's birthday comes up. And this is something that always happens, and I'm like, okay, I guess. I don't know. This is a weird thing that seems to happen every time. I don't know why people aren't better at scheduling or talking about plans more. It's Haley's birthday, and apparently every year she has dinner with her parents. But this year, Alexa was like, I'm doing something special for you. So ditch your parents and come to my house. And then she's like, oh, well, Alexa's having a surprise for me. And then the dad's like, well, you can go to Alexa's house after. And she's like, but she's like throwing a party for me. And like, I got into college. I'm graduating a year early. Can't I just have fun with my friends? And then they're like, okay, fine. Come back at 7:30. Your mom got a cake. And she's like, 8 would be better for the party. So I'm going to come back at 8. And then she leaves. And then the dad is like, I don't like this attitude she's coming up with. And then the mom's like, well, she got friends and she wanted that, so like she should hang out with her friends. Besides, she's going to college next year. We can't really ground her and keep her here in her dorm room. And then the dad's like, can't we? And I'm like,
No, you can't.
Oh, hey, we're gonna go study in the library. Do you want to come? I can't. Sorry, my parents grounded me. Are they here? No.
But they said that I couldn't leave my dorm.
They said I couldn't. Do you have an ankle monitor on? They won't know.
So then
They tracked my phone.
Yeah, turn your location off.
So then
You're 23, goddamn.
So then they go to the party at Alexa's house, and she got Haley a piñata because she remembered that Haley said that was her favorite part about birthdays when she was a kid. And she was like, oh my God, you remember? This is so sweet. And I'm like, I mean, I guess it is fun to do. And it's like, they didn't explore this, but the movie basically implies that Alexa is very charmed by how, like, innocent and, like, quote unquote pure Haley is. Mm-hmm. And, like, that, like, she wants, like, her and her friends are, like, trashy, and so she likes having, like, this elegant little child around, I guess.
Weird.
Strange.
Like, a lot, and, like, the movie keeps bringing up issues of her purity, which is weird to me. Like, we'll get there, but anyway.
If this movie takes, like, a hard turn into purity culture, I think I'm gonna have to tap out.
It doesn't take a hard turn, but it's like, I feel like it's implied.
It's dancing in that direction.
I think what it probably is like we have this pure, innocent main character, and she got involved with these people, and it's changing her a little. It's like starting to change her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe, I
You
don't
used
know.
to be such a good kid.
Yeah.
What happened to you? I grew up.
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, the dad is, like, getting really bent out of shape. And I'm like, and she's pushing back. But, like, And, like, I wouldn't have talked to my parents this way. But, like, honestly, I knew a lot of kids growing up that just did. And everyone was cool with it. So, like, I don't know. It sounds like you did something wrong, Pops. I don't know what to tell you. How you got here.
Sorry, this is kind of your fault.
It's like, I didn't talk to my parents like that. But, go off, sis. So... she stays at the party, and then we see Kristen and Tough Girl and Troublemaker, as Grams put it. We'll just go with the names. That's why she told us that at the beginning. They're in the kitchen. They're like, I don't know why Alexa wants us here, because the girl doesn't like you, Tough Girl, and I don't like her. And then Tough Girl's like, what are you talking about? She said you had no class. And she was like, what? And then in a truly class act of a gal she is, she goes out, she just breaks the pinata.
Oh. That was not
middle.
your pinata.
That's what I was
They were in the middle. They were in the middle of spinning her. They were spinning Haley around. Chrissy just comes out and angrily whacks the whole thing. And I'm like... Okay, you are not proving any point here. I don't know what you're trying to do here, but okay.
All
so
right.
Then,
why don't you blow out her birthday candles while you're at it?
And then Alexa tells the other girls, "Don't laugh. It's not funny. Why would you do that?
It's kind of funny."
And then the grandma's like, "It's okay. We'll just tape it back together and pick up all the candy and whatnot." Then she comes back home, and she's 2 hours late for her birthday dinner. And Dad's mad, and he grounds her.
On her birthday?
On her birthday, he grounds her. Because she was like, you're 2 hours late. And she was like, I know, it was just hard. Like, the party was for me, so it was, hard to leave.
Yeah, tip, don't get mad at someone on their birthday. It's their birthday. Yeah. They can celebrate it how they want. Even if you normally celebrate it with your child. If they want to go to their friends, let them go to their friends.
Yeah. I completely understand that, oh, we, prepped dinner and we're waiting for you, and it's kind of disappointing that we had to eat your birthday dinner without you. I understand that, but, it's stupid to ground your kid.
Yeah, honestly, once she already said it... As soon as she said, Alexa's doing this thing for me, I want to do that, I would be like, okay, can we do it tomorrow?
Yeah, let's reschedule
let's do your birthday dinner on another day.
Just do not, if she planned something again tomorrow, then, maybe be salty. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be like, girl.
we told you to put a pin in tomorrow. Because, this is the thing, too, they didn't talk to her. She's, 17 now, and she's got a new friend group that are hanging out with her more regularly. So, I think it's, I get that she usually doesn't have plans, so you just assume to be cool, but then she told you, oh, actually, I have plans. And then the mom's like, but we always have dinner on your birthday. It's like, look, she doesn't want to do it. It's her birthday.
Yeah,
I don't know what
she's
to tell
getting
you.
older.
Leave her alone.
Let's go to college.
You can do it tomorrow. But then, so they ground her. Then the mom's like, I don't think that was the best move, grounding her the day, it's spring break now.
And
then the dad's like...
And her birthday.
And, yeah. She's literally you grounded me on my birthday. She just leaves. She doesn't even open any gifts, which I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, fair.
Because then the last thing she says is and you wonder why I'd rather spend time there than here. And I'm like, honestly, that's a fair point. I agree with you. Then
I'd rather go back to their house, and they broke my piñata.
Yeah. Which I do wonder, and she was talking, and it's so weird, your daughter, at the beginning of this movie, last time she talked, she was so sad about how she can't connect with anybody, she doesn't feel seen at school, and then when she came home from the Alexa's party, she was like, yeah, some boys came and they brought water balloons, I had to borrow a shirt, she's giggling and laughing, she's clearly had an amazing time, and then you just grounded her for having fun at a house that you've been to before, they're not
Our chicken farm got cold because of you.
It's so weird. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there are people like that, but I don't know.
I'm sure there are.
Mm-hmm. But then, the next time we see them, it's, they're having dinner at the house. And then, I don't know, she says something sort of like salty, and then the dad's like, how about thank you for getting me a cake, Mom? And then she's like, I have to pretend to like the cake now too. It's not enough that you're forcing me to eat with you or whatever she says. And then I was like, honestly, Dad, like you're not like,
Dad, you are making every wrong choice right now.
Like, I don't know what. And he's like, because he even says like, we gotta nip this attitude of yours in the bud or something like that. And I'm like, she's about to leave. Yeah. You're never gonna hear from her again. She's gonna be like, lose my number, Pops.
This is how you sever the relationship you have with your child before they move out.
Oh! Shoot. Okay. I missed an important detail that happened in the middle of this. One day, they're in the bathroom, and Alexa was doing Haley's nails, and then she leaves for a second, and then Troublemaker is still in the bathroom stall when Best Friend comes in. She's like, what, you don't even know me anymore? She's like, I said, hey, didn't you hear me? She's like, you're such a hypocrite. What about that stuff you said about Alexa on my wall? And she's like, wow, bitter much? And then the friend just leaves, but Troublemaker heard that, and then she tells Becca, now they're like looking for this stuff. So that's happening in the background. But anyway, so then back to this dinner with the salty everybody. And then, like, the mom is like, hey, let's take it down, like, a couple hundred notches. Why don't we? And then, she gets a call from Alexa, and then Alexa's like, Derek. Oh, right. Sorry. I forgot this again. In the bathroom, before Alexa went to get nail polish or whatever, we find out she likes this guy, Derek. Okay, fast forward to where we are now. This guy, Derek, she was like, he said the nastiest things to me. I'm going to KYS myself, and you need to come over here now.
I can't get the cap off.
And then she gets, yeah, exactly, cyberbullying it up over here. And then then Alexa's like, oh my gosh, Haley's like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm on my way. And she's getting up to go, and the dad's like, excuse me. You are sitting at the dinner table. You're grounded. Well, Alexa said she's gonna end her life, so I don't know how to
You so bad.
So I've got to help her. Okay, if that's the case, we can call 911, or she can call her grandmother, but you're not leaving this house. And she's like, try and stop me, Dad. And he's like, I haven't spanked you since you were 4, but I'm thinking about it. And I'm like,
you can't say that.
Woo! Beep, back it up, Pops. Like, what are you doing?
You cannot say that.
To your teenager.
Who's almost a grown adult.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So then she goes with Alexa and she cheers her up because apparently he called her like a skank, and then Haley was like, well, I'm going to call him a skank because he's more of a skank than you could ever be. And then she's like, oh, you're so sweet. We're such good friends. And then she's like, I'm scared to go home. My dad was so mad. I left even though I was grounded. And then she's like, oh, well, just stay here till he cools off. So then the mom gets a call from Grandma, and Haley's like, said she's too scared to go home, so she's going to stay there. And then the dad's like, do you believe her? And she's like, no. And I'm like, he threatened her.
This dad sucks. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Like, I'm like, okay, maybe she doesn't think you're going to, like, strangle her. But she's probably scared of the consequences. Since you, like, the last year, you were like, I haven't spanked you since you were 4, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna hurt you, kid.
Like,
I don't know why my kid's afraid to come home.
I don't believe her.
It's so weird. But then the mom's like, but you, like, and she's just, I don't know, she's trying too hard to be, like, the mediator, I guess, but it's like, you're not really helping, because, like, nobody's changing. They're just both mad, and then you're not doing anything. So it's like, okay, lady. Then this was so stupid to me. The dad is like, I'm going to pick Haley up on my way to work. And I was thinking, why? Just go on your way home from work. Because
then you have to circle back home.
Yeah, circle back home, and then you're gonna have to work the rest of the day without just hanging over your head. Like, just wait till after work. I don't know. It doesn't even explain what he thinks is gonna happen. But anyway, he tries to knock on the door, but there's no answer because they're not home because they go to the lake. And then Haley's like, "Oh, I thought it was just gonna be me and you here." I guess because after the whole pinata thing, she gets that the friends aren't that fond of her. And she's like, "You think I wouldn't be here without my posse?" So they're all hanging out. Tough Girl does some like catty things to hate, like she spills some stuff on her. And then she's like, "Hey, don't do that. We're not in 4th grade." And then she's like, "Oh, but I don't have any class, right?" And it's like, "Well, no, because you do
Clearly.
stuff like this,
Yeah.
you dum-dum. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Stop it." Gosh, these girls are so frustrating to me. But then Alexa's like, "Why are you being, like, awful?" "Well, I don't know why you're being so nice to her. She said trash about us online." She's like, "Yeah, she knows you don't like her. She's not stupid." She's like, "No, stuff about you. We'll prove it." She's like, "You're lying. Watch, come home, we'll prove it." So anyway, Haley comes back, nobody's there, just her towel. And I'm like, okay, I guess you're a little classy. You didn't rob her, too.
Yeah, you didn't parent trap her.
Yeah.
Steal her clothes.
But then she has this guy, I think it maybe even is Derek, I don't know, but he gives her a ride over there, and then she calls the girls that she's calling, and now Alexa knows what she wrote on the wall. By the way, like, I don't know, maybe this is me, but like, after the friend confronted me in the bathroom and mentioned the stuff on the wall, wouldn't you like delete that stuff?
Delete it, yeah.
Yeah, totally would delete it. But she didn't, and I was like, "That's
Not
kind
her.
of that's kind of a mistake." But okay, still, I don't think anyone expected what was going to happen. Regardless, I think. Okay, so then she calls Alexa. They've been ignoring her, and she's like in the car with this guy. And then Alexa's like, "I'm done with you. If you come over here, Tough Girl's gonna beat you up, and I'm gonna let her." And then she's like, "What are you like? Why are you saying, like, what's going on? What happened? I'm coming over there so we can work this out." And then then the guy driving her is like, "Oh wow, they really have it out for you, huh? She gave my cousin a really big fat lip." And then she's like, "I'm not afraid of Kristen." And
Sounds like we're about to have a girl fight.
And then the guy's like, "My cousin's a 200-pound guy." I was like, okay, like, actually, like, girl boss a little bit, like, you took him out, like, you.
That's like Gatekeep girl boss.
Tough Girl is pretty petite, so I would like to see that fight. That sounds fun. How this happened, like, that's interesting. But anyway, she gets to the house, and they planned it. When they knew she was on the way, they were like, "We're gonna record it, and we can put it online on MySpace and YouTube, and it'll be great. We'll get all the followers
And world star hip hop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally just thinking, like, it's giving world star hip hop.
So they're doing that, and then, oh gosh. So then Alexa walks in the door, and then Haley walks in the door, and she's talking to Alexa, and she's like, "What's going on? Like, I'm trying to talk to you. Like, what is happening?" And then Taylor's like, "Don't talk to her. Talk to me. I'm talking to you. You said stuff online." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't even really know you when I said that. It was stupid. I've grown since then." "No, you haven't. You're an idiot." And then Tough Girl just pushes her against the wall. They show so much of these girls beating up this actress. So much. And, like, based on true events, it's very similar to the real footage.
Of course.
The narrative is sort of different, but it's still, like, feels tacky to put in this movie. Like, so much of it, like, I don't know, I feel like they could have maybe implied it more. Like, it is very graphic.
No, but it's real
Not that I'm
way
interested.
and
Not
shocking.
that I'm interested in seeing the footage. Is this still online? Well, probably. Once something's online, it's always online.
No, like, I do not recommend looking for it. It made my stomach turn a little bit, but, like, it is online. I have seen it.
Ugh.
So, that's all I'll say. But, yeah, no, they, like, they just they keep moving, and I don't know, and like I did not watch that much of the real thing. I don't know if this happened in the real time, but they keep moving her to location. Like it wasn't enough to just beat her to a pulp here. Now we got to move her to the couch for a bit. And now we're gonna move her upstairs to a bedroom for a bit.
So what? They like picked her up.
Like they keep like leading her along, and like they show at parts her like trying to crawl to get away, and like she just can't because it's 5-on-1.
I have a question about how this is filmed. So in my mind, I'm picturing like very specific, like the color scheme of like the last half of 13, like the really like blue type, and it's very shaky cam. Is it like that, or is it like pretty cinematography?
It's not pretty. It's just like the cinematography doesn't really change, but when we see the footage like on like because they recorded on video, it looks a little different. Not really 13-y. It doesn't vary that much.
Okay.
But then, okay, once they've beaten her up enough, they take her in the car and they dump her off in a parking lot. And I'm thinking, and this was the most cold-blooded thing I feel like I've ever seen. She cannot think at all. Like, everything's a blur. She's so confused. She can barely see. And they give her, like, a soda. And they're like, say thank you. And she's like, thank you. And, like, she is so weak and beaten. And then Troublemaker's like, hey, Haley, look at me. If you tell anybody about this, we'll kill you for real.
Jeez.
Okay, now get out of the car. And they just leave her there. And then Alexa's like, yeah, here's your stuff. Call someone to pick you up. Don't say anything about this to anybody. And then they drive off, and she's just confused, sobbing in a parking lot, saying, I'm sorry. I don't know, like... Because again, mind you, she said 2 mean things online. That is not...
And they beat her ass.
That's not violence. It's never the answer.
God damn.
A woman finds her.
Don't beat up people.
It wasn't even that it was just the girl who like wanted to fight her. It was everybody. So it's not like, oh, it was this one hothead and everyone else just let it happen. But they were all like... engaging in it.
So I believe 3 girls threw for sure 2 in the movie anyway, but Alexa never hit her. She just stood there and watched the whole thing. That's very important. So but I don't know. I know for sure Troublemaker and Tough Girl beat her up a lot, and I think the other girls might have gotten a few licks in, but I'm not sure. But I only know for sure that Alexa watched the whole thing and didn't do anything. So then she ends up in the hospital. Next we see her parents rushing into the hospital like, what happened? And then she explains, and she's like, Alexa and the girls did it for a video. And I was like, they told you not to say anything or they'd kill you for real. But I think it's just kind of fun. She immediately just told everybody everything. And
I mean, as you should. If you're assaulted,
for
tell
sure.
somebody.
No, definitely. I do like, but I was, at first, the first time I ever watched this movie, I thought it was going to be this thing where it was like a secret and then like
a speak situation where it's like, whoa, you won't tell us what's going on.
Yeah, or like even more so, or like where she's like, oh, I got mugged by strangers, and then like the more like it unravels, they realize it wasn't strangers. But no, like she immediately tells them, and then the mom goes to their house and she bangs on the door, and then the grandma opens the door and she's very confused. She just got home. She's like, what's going on? Your girl's attacked my daughter. Where are they? I need to talk to them. She's very mad, and I was like, okay, this is
you
like
go, Mom.
I'm like, this is the first time you've seemed like a capable human the whole movie, so good on you, I guess. Then the girls come down, they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, a video. What video? Where's the video? Show me the video. You beat up my daughter. She can't hear out of her ear. She might not see out of her eye again. And they were like, we had a little spat, but like something must have happened after we left her. She was fine when we left her. I was like, you girls are wild that you like tried this. Then
you filmed it, and then you're like, that's not true.
I like that so they're lying that they didn't beat her up, obviously, but they didn't lie. They were still like, yeah, we had a fight, but we didn't touch her.
Yeah,
like, if you were gonna lie about it, why not just be like, What? When she left, like, she said she was, everything was fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
And then, anyway, she's like, look, you don't want to talk to me? Fine. The cops are on their way. And she leaves. And then the grandma's like, okay, what's going on? And then the two girls book it. But then she just goes upstairs. And Alexa just, like, put the video on her computer from the phone. So the grandma, and nobody thought to X out when they saw the mom knocking on the door. But these are...
Like, let's just leave this up so we can keep watching it when she leaves. Lol.
Yeah, we'll get right back to this. This will just take a sec. I'm sure she's fine.
Someone take note of the timestamp just in case it closes.
Then the grandma sits there and watches the whole thing. And she's like, oh my God, basically. Then she decides, the daughter comes home from the hospital after being, like, interviewed by police officers over and over again about, like, what happened. And I think what was so sad is at one point when she's being interviewed, she's like, I just remember thinking, they're gonna kill me. And I was like, that's so sad. I'm like, this almost feels like they should have made this a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like...
I mean,
I don't
like
know.
it sounds like it's been terrible up until this point, and now it's like, oh, this is a real person that this actually happened to.
Well, and I
Exactly.
think-
At first it was...
I mean, Lifetime is kind of, they do a lot of docudramas,
Yeah. And I'm being like, I feel like maybe they shouldn't. I don't know.
I
It's
think,
just like...
I don't know. Like, what's the
Lifetime is, like-
justification? I think it's like, their story needs to be told.
If that's the case, make it a documentary then. Don't be
Yeah.
like, let's pepper in some drama. Like, if you think a story is interesting, you don't need to embellish it with fiction.
And this is why I think there's, like, a bit of a purity narrative going on, because this is, like, a part that happened in, like, the video, and, like, every time they play the video so many times, they also make a big deal that, like, Haley, you need to watch it. Because she's, like, reluctant to testify. She's like, you need to just watch the video, then you'll testify. And, like, she, like, doesn't want to watch it at first, because why would you want to watch your own...
Yeah, let me just relive my
like-
trauma really quick
Yeah.
before I go to court and relive my trauma.
Yeah, everyone wants her to just, like, bask in her trauma. But, when she walks in, they're, like, they call her a whore, and she's like, how am I a whore? Who have I slept
I got
with?
my
Name
ass
one.
beat. What are you talking about?
This is what, like, before the fight even starts.
Okay.
They call her a whore in the video. And they keep playing this clip of the video over and over again. And I'm like, okay, does it matter if she slept with anybody or not? Why do they really want us to remember that she didn't sleep with anybody
Well,
yet?
maybe
Like,
I don't know. I was gonna say, but it sounds too smart for this script. That, like, they were making a point that, like, yeah, she hasn't slept with anyone, and they all know that, and so whore is just, like, an general insult that girls use to each other.
I definitely think that's kind of, like, they know that as an insult, but I don't think they're trying to make... I think they're just making it more like, oh no, they beat up a virgin. If she had slept with people, it wouldn't be as sad. Is what I took away from it.
Do you think it's like this? It's trying to create the narrative of like a perfect victim, like, oh, they never did anything wrong in their life. Like, I guess.
Yeah, that's
that's kind of what they're doing,
Yeah, okay.
which is not great.
that's the vibe I'm getting at, like, with it, that I don't, and I think it's weird because they keep playing, just like, they play lots of clips from it, but they always every time they play the video, like, if the dad's watching, the mom's watching, they always include the part where she's like, how am I a whore? I haven't slept with anyone.
And I guess
Like,
it's also,
it doesn't
like,
matter.
the...
Who cares?
See, parents, she's a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
And these other kids are not good kids.
Yeah. Ugh. Your value as a person goes down if you have sex. Ugh.
So then the
Or,
grandma...
like, kissing.
Yeah.
The grandma comes over to their house and the mom is, like, glaring and, like, evil. And I was like, I honestly feel bad for grandma because grandma, like, I mean, she wasn't there that much, but, like, she's a nurse. She was busy. She didn't know they were violent. She didn't think they were going to do a violence.
Yeah, she just thought that they were gonna, like, have a couple drinks, maybe do a little kissing. She didn't think somebody was going to get
Almost
violently
die.
assaulted.
So
I didn't
anyway, she
think
comes
crimes
over
were gonna happen in her home.
and she was like, I didn't know, like, I was up all night thinking about, like, what to do, but this feels like the right thing. Here's the video, you know, like, you know, I'm so sorry that this happened. I don't even know what to
Good job,
say.
Grandma.
And then the mom, like, just, like, get it, just takes it and, like, go away. And I'm like, okay, like,
Grandma Grandma literally
Grandma-
did the right thing. She told all these
Yeah.
girls, get the hell out of my house. Here's the
Yeah.
evidence. I'm gonna show the victim's parents. Here's the evidence. Why are you being rude? Grandma had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I get that you're mad, but, like, it really was unnecessary to lash out on her at this moment. I don't know what
Grandma
that
did
was.
nothing wrong.
So they
There's
go
the
to
title of the video.
Yeah. Love grandmas.
We love Grandma.
We love Grandma.
Well, hold on.
Oh.
I don't think I never stopped loving her, but I definitely questioned some decisions later on. We'll get there when we get there. Okay, so then, like, now the rest of this whole thing is just like, will you testify in court and get these girls in jail? And Mom was like, it's not a debate. You're going to testify. And, like, obviously these girls need to pay for what they did, but at the same time, like, they have the evidence, and, like, the DA makes it clear, basically, like, these girls aren't, like, getting, like, it's not that nothing's going to happen to these girls. It's just if you testify, more will happen to these girls. It's basically the gist.
This really points out a major flaw in our justice system. It's this notion of, like, so much of a prosecution's case relies on, sorry to make this an educational moment, so much of a prosecutor's case relies on victim testimony, which is awful for a number of reasons. Like, when you're called to testify, you give your side of the story, and, like, your attorney will, like, question you. But then the opposing attorney will question you. So if you're on the prosecutor side and you're like, yes, I was the victim of this crime, once the, like, it's Crown Attorney in Canada, but in the US it's, like, the prosecutor. Once they're done, then the defendant's lawyer comes in and just, like, tears your ass apart for everybody to see because they're trying to defend their client. And that's really traumatizing for people, and it's re-victimizing you. You've just gone through this horrible crime. The entire case comes down to your word and your credibility as a person. But then, like, the accused, they don't have to testify. It's, like, optional for them. And often they're not put on the stand because it's like, ooh, this situation looks really bad, so let's not put them up there. But, like, it's such a flawed system.
I mean, there's so many things that are flawed. Like, the fact, I mean, and this, some of this comes down to not even flaws of the court system, but just flaws in the way people think about the way cases are presented. Like, they all want eyewitness testimony, which on multiple occasions has been proved to be just not reliable at all.
The most unreliable type of evidence out there.
But they want that eyewitness testimony. They want, like, when people
forensic proof.
when people say that a case is circumstantial, people automatically think that means that there's no evidence. But circumstantial evidence is still evidence.
It's like, listen, we don't have the forensics and we don't have the eyewitness, but, like, this is, like, it's a perfect scenario for this crime to have happened, and this evidence that we have that is circumstantial is literally pointing to the answer that we are providing. People are like, but there's still reasonable doubt because it's circumstantial.
That's the other thing, is people assume that reasonable doubt means no doubt.
Yeah.
But that's not what that means.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the movie a little bit, but still on this part.
Educational moment.
I have a lot to say about that.
No, I agree.
I took one criminal justice, 2 actually, and I think I'm a lawyer.
No, I love hearing everything you have to say. Just one thing, and maybe this will either stoke the flames or we'll move along, but, like, media in general give prosecutors such a bad rap. It really depends on, like, who like the stars, but this did not do this prosecutor any favors, because I was like, lady, do you have like some sort of like jail quota to fill or something? Like, what are you trying to help her find her voice, or what? Like, what are your motives here? I'm very confused, because at one point she's talking with her and she's like, so your mom says you don't want to testify, but like you should. And she's like, I just want it to be over. I forget. And then she's like, aren't you angry? Like, you can't hear and you can't see? And she's like, I'm mad at myself for picking friends who decided to jump me when I came to their house. And she said, oh, but you see what you said there? They decided to. This was their decision to do this to you. And I was like, lady, you said she was smart, and then she said she was dumb, and you're like acting like that was your point all along. And like, you just...
I mean, I see what this like attorney is doing. She's trying to like change her own narrative. Like, oh, it was my fault that I did this because I made a stupid decision. Well, no, you trusted your friends to go and like treat you nicely, and it was them who decided to do. So like, I see where she's going, but it's like a very gentle gaslighting. The entire like criminal justice system is built off of gaslighting.
Yeah, and it sucks.
The other thing too that I'll add, like, because we could just talk, like, we could just make this like this section about like how this when the mom brings the tape, it's like, okay, this is so Lifetime, and they've got something to say about like YouTube, I guess, because they're like,
because there's a bunch of 45-year-old moms who don't know how to use the internet wrote the script.
She hands them the evidence, and she's like, I can't believe they did all this for a video. And she's like, it'd be insane what people do for a little bit of limelight, but it makes my job easier. I'm like, she's the victim's mother, lady. Maybe don't
this makes my job so easy. Like,
this will be a snap and a half. Then, the next time, so like, it's like a debate, like, is she gonna testify or not? Then the mom watches the video first with the dad, and she leaves to go vomit because she can't take watching it. And it's like, yeah, that sounds about right. Then, later on, the media, they're all trying to talk to her and the girls. Like, the police have gotten the girls, and they're in jail, and they show them taking their snapshots, and one girl, the girl who's always taking pictures of herself, is literally like, can you make sure you get like my left side, because that's my good side, thanks. And like, they're all like laughing, and they're like, oh my god, this is such a joke that we're going to jail.
Do you know what this is reminding me of? I don't know if this was a big thing in the US, but it was a really big thing up here. There was this young woman, her name was Rena Burke. She was murdered by a couple of peers, and like, it's a really famous case in Canada, and there's a lot of media that came out about it afterwards, because there was a lot of discussion around like bullying and like gang mentality and all this. And to be honest, I think that this murder was really racially motivated, but I won't get into that right now. But there's this one play that was inspired by kind of the media sensationalism of like, oh, teen girls who murdered their friend. And the play is called The Shape of a Girl, and it's a really good play. I really like it. And there's this one monologue that's given where it's talking about seeing the girls in the news. And like, this is where the name comes from. Their faces are blurred out, and you can't see them because they're minors, and we weren't allowed to know what their identities were at the time. But they're like throwing up peace signs and like being silly for the camera, even though they're being arrested for murder. I need to find, maybe I'll...
were those girls?
They were 15 or 16, I believe.
Because I was thinking that seems kind of like a middle school thing.
Yeah. I tried to look at, I mean, there's not a lot of which makes sense, but there's not a lot of info on like the girls who aren't the victim, the assailants. So I couldn't really find any articles saying that this is how they behaved at all.
Also, maybe it depends on like the crime rate in your city, or the not just the crime rate, but the crime rate for teenagers in your city. Because I feel like we have a really high crime rate and a high teenage crime rate here. So you wouldn't catch teenagers acting like that because they know what happens. Like,
The story
when you're,
takes
like,
place-
they know it's serious, you know?
Yeah. Like,
The
it
story
was
takes-
such a weird, not like weird really minimizes it, but just a really jarring instance of like, wow, these were 2 teenagers, and like one of them was a girl who horribly murdered this young girl.
Well, this story takes place in Florida, so I don't know if that attributes to why they were
Yeah, this
behaving
was in
this
British
way.
Columbia, I believe.
British Columbia.
Edinburgh.
Okay, but circling back to this, next time she's with her friend and she's like, you probably think I deserve this. And she's like, whoa, no, I do not think that. She's like, I totally ditched you just because I wanted a chance to be popular. And she's like, okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean she should get beat up like this. Did you see the video? And then she's like, no, I haven't seen it. And then she's like, well, you need to watch it. Anyway, there's like a whole media circus downstairs, and the parents are like trying to get them to go away. And
Why
there's
do
this
people
guy
want her
from,
to
like,
watch
some
the
morning-
video?
The media's just downstairs harassing her parents. Meanwhile, her friend's upstairs like, I think you should just watch the video.
Yeah,
and she's like, fine,
but
I'll
why?
watch it. I don't know, but for
'cause
whatever
if
reason,
they
when
want-
she watches it...
If they want her to be like, wow, yeah, that is really horrible. Now I'm not blaming myself anymore. She lived it. She knows how horrible it was.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the second she sits down and watches it, now she's ready to go.
Oh, okay.
She
so
wants them to
that's,
pay.
Okay. I was
They-
exactly
I'm
right.
ready to testify.
It was what she needed. Downstairs, there's like a morning talk show guy, and he's like, hey, you want a break from these cameras? How about you just let me fly you and your family out, and you could be on this talk show in front of cameras and talk about it. And
It's
the dad's
me,
like,
Ronaldo.
and
Come
he's like,
talk on my show.
and he's like, leave me alone. We're not doing it. And he's like, you don't want to do that. So then when that doesn't work, they just decide to bail the girls out of jail so that they can be on TV.
Okay.
To tell their side of the story. And I'm like, wow, weird. But okay. And like because they're like, so all those parents basically agreed because they can't afford the bail. And the guy paid their bail so that they would come on the show, which is weird. They wanted the interview that badly. But anyway, so now she's ready to testify. And they have 2 meetings now with the prosecutor. And she's like, okay, so like, I'm just going to skip some of them because they're kind of all over the place. But this is one with this is a meeting where I don't know if you're allowed to be a minor alone with a prosecutor or not. But mom was bugging me and she needed to leave the room. I think maybe because she was a minor she had to be there, but I think she needed to leave because they're sitting here and the prosecutor's like, okay, so we're talking about a plea bargain. And then the mom's like, absolutely not. No plea bargain. Also, this is tying into the last thing we saw at, Haley is staying at home to like recover, and she's just going to finish out the year homeschooling because she has basically enough credits anyway. The girls, once they're on bail, they get to go back to school, but they're not supposed to talk to each other, even though they do totally all still talk to each other. And they're all like taking pictures with people, and they're like basically school celebrities. And I'm like, you guys were already popular. It's so weird. They're acting like this put them on the map at school when they were already the popular girls. It was very confusing to me. But then, they're acting like they're popular all of a sudden. And then they go to sit down with one of their friends. And this one, I didn't mention her at all because she does not matter, but she's the quiet one. And they go to sit, Tough Girl and Troublemaker and everybody go to sit with her. And she's like, we're not supposed to talk to each other. And then she goes away. And then they're like, why are you being like this? And she's like, I saw the video and I feel disgusted. Goodbye. And I was like, okay, not enough to like stop it at the time. You only care you got caught, I guess. But like, I guess at least you feel bad now. But then the other girls are still like taking selfies with everybody and feeling fine. And then one of the girls is like, hey, on a serious note, are you guys going to the hearing? And then the other girl's like, I kind of thought we had to. And then Tough Girl's like, yeah, but it's fine. We're going to get a plea bargain. It'll be like whatever. And then Troublemaker's like, Tough Girl, Haley's parents have to agree to the plea bargain. And then she's like, what?
Okay.
There are repercussions for my actions?
Oh,
like,
no.
whoa. It's so weird. Oh, also there's a scene when they're in jail when, like, the news, they show, like, this montage of news outlet after news outlet playing this footage over and over and over again. And I'm like, man, I do not feel like you should be allowed to put that much violence on, like, the news, like, of a girl getting beat up like this. I felt like not, like, I don't know, maybe that's me, but it's like it felt like on par with, like, the same reason you don't show, like, footage of, like, hostages, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like, I feel like you don't put that stuff, but they did just, like, put, like, a bunch of clips of it. And, like, basically because it's evidence, it's public record, so he released, like, 3 minutes of the half-hour video so, like, that they would leave him alone. Hopefully. Which I'm like, I don't know if that would work, but fine. So, they're, like... So now they're starting to get scared. And now they're in this office with, like, the prosecutor, and she's agreed to testify. And the mom's like, absolutely not. I want them to, the fullest extent of the law, which is apparently life in prison.
For assault? That's
Yeah, I think it's assault,
Like, if
battery,
they're going
and
for attempted
kidnapping.
murder charges, I
And
guess.
to be tried as adults. And I was like, whoa. And then even Haley's like, whoa, I thought they'd get, like, a year in juvie. And I was thinking, like, this is such an impossible position to put this girl in. Because, like, obviously she wants them to have consequences for what they did. But, like, I think it'd be really hard for anyone to, like, sign off on anyone getting life in prison.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially at this age and, like, whatever. And the mom's like, no plea bargain. We're not doing a plea bargain. After what they did to us. And then the daughter and me at the same time were like, to you? What did they do to you? And she was like, this is when I was like, okay, the mom can go away. Because you are not the one who can't hear and see.
Yeah.
So shut up, maybe. But then the mom is like, they took away my sense of feeling this world was safe for my children. It's like, lady, it wasn't safe before. What? Shut up.
That's
That's a way to make your child's trauma about you.
This is not about you, Mom. This is about your kid.
I was literally like, I wish, like, see, this is why I want TV ghost powers, where I could just, like, go in and take over for a character for a second and just, like, retcon the script and see what happened. Because I would have totally taken her place and been like, okay, well, you know what, since you're so troubled, why don't you testify to your experience when you got beat up and you can't see and hear, mother, since this is your
Mom.
problem. Like, ugh, I hated that so much. It made me so mad. Then they go outside, and then, like, the daughter's annoyed with her mom because she's not listening to her. And then she goes to the bathroom, and then the mom sees the grandma's there, and she's like, oh, I didn't expect to run into you here. And she's, like, angry. And she's like, yeah, our lawyer wanted to meet us here. We're just, I just dropped her off. She's in the bathroom. So then, this is wild to me. Okay, so once we were at school, we heard that there were rules for them not to talk to each other. So that would extend, you'd think, they're not supposed to talk to Haley, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think happens when Alexa bumps into Haley in the
She
bathroom?
doesn't have, like, a restraining order. I feel like that's what would happen.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. But immediately, Alexa just dives right into witness intimidation. She's like, really? You couldn't just take your beating like a normal person? You had to go sniveling to the cops about it?
You beat my ass. Yes, I did.
Like, whoa, what? And she's like stepping to her, and she's like, I thought you were my friend. And she's like, I thought you were mine. You sat there and let me get beat up. And she's like, yeah, and now we're going to jail for life. So who's really the tough one? What? And it was nonsense. Anyway, so this is happening simultaneously while the mom is fighting out. She runs there and she's like, "Get away from my daughter!" And I was like, first of all, you put your hands on her. That's not okay. You could have just stood in front of your daughter.
Is there no courthouse security?
I'm thinking, like, we immediately go back to our DA's office and add witness intimidation to the list. Because, like, all of this was not okay. And then the grandma's like, calm down. If I had known all this was going to happen, I wouldn't have given you the tape. What did you think was going to...
Never mind. We can't title this video.
Right? Okay, that's why I said...
nothing wrong.
That's why I said...
Grandma, you were doing so good.
You were cool. You were trying your best. You were supporting your... They allude... Like, they don't allude. They say outright. Alexa's mom was very abusive, and that's why she lives with her grandma, because... And then, like, her grandma at one point has a talk with her before she brings the tape in, because her mom... Because Alexa's like, "You're going to stab me in the back." And she's like, You just stood there. Did I just stand there when your mom hit you? Which... Bob was like, that's kind of insensitive to say. And I was like, yeah, but like this, if there's ever a time to be insensitive, I think this is fine.
You know, normally I'd be like, Grandma, that's not okay.
Yeah, I don't rub trauma in someone's face, but at the same time, like, I mean, it's really applicable here. Like, you just let them beat someone up. Because she said, like, semi-catty things.
Because
like,
she bullied you online. Not even bullied you.
She talked to her loser friend when she was a loser about you. Like, if any, like, you were on top. If anything, you could just ignore her and she'd go back to being irrelevant. That would have been a much more suitable revenge.
Yeah. Like, sorry, you're not invited to my lake house this weekend. Bye.
Yeah, it was wild. So then... They don't talk to anybody about this blatant witness intimidation. But then that night, Haley is watching the video at home, and she's like, and the mom's like, "Why are you watching your snuff film again?" Basically. And she's like, "I'm trying to remember the girl I was before this." And then I was like, this is the wrong moral. Like, I guess I like where we ended up, but I don't like how we got there. Because then she's like, they kept wanting me to fight back, and I didn't, because fighting is stupid, and I wasn't like them. But now testifying against them is fighting back. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want this to change me. And I'm like, you're changed, hon. That ship sailed. But...
This seems like a really backwards way of, like, be the bigger person. Don't fight back. Like, sorry, you're getting insulted.
I don't...
Defend yourself as much as you can.
I didn't want to be like them. Because in the moment you said you thought you were going to die. And so I think it's more like you couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
like this could have been, like, let me try again. This could have been... Oh, why didn't I fight back? And it'd be like, well, you couldn't. You were scared. Like, it could have been a discussion of, like, fight or flight. Well, there's freeze, and, like, that is a valid trauma response.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel bad because you couldn't get yourself out of this situation, but instead it's like, oh, I wish I blah blah blah. Like, Lifetime, you constantly drop the ball. And like, my like, expectations of you fall every time I hear something about you.
Because, like, here's my, like, I definitely, like, I was thinking, like, oh, like, if this is, like, a restorative justice thing, like, we're talking about here, like, I'm all for that. That's fine. But they're making it weirdly, like, they're making it, like, I don't know, victim blaming or something.
Restorative justice is too big of a concept for Lifetime to figure out.
I guess, but, like, because it's not, like, this whole thing, like, being, it's not even about being the bigger person. It's just, like, look, like, I don't want, it's not that I want you guys to, like, suffer for your whole life, but, like, it's not okay what you did. You need to understand that that's not okay to do. And, like, apparently it's going to take a bit, because they were literally show a scene where, like, the news is playing their stuff and they're in jail in their orange jumpsuits and they're like, oh, yay, we're famous. And then another girl who's, like, clearly, like, this is not her first rodeo in juvie. She's probably been there a minute. She's like, you actually filmed yourself? Are you stupid? And I was like, You're my new favorite.
I like this
Whoever
girl.
you are, you're good.
You filmed your crime and then kept it?
you.
Are you brain dead?
Oh my gosh. So then we go to the what's it called? Recording or the hearing, the big hearing or whatever. And finally the mom listens to her daughter and she's like, I wanted them to throw the book at you, but as I sit here, you're just some scared, dumb girls. So I want, on behalf of my daughter, we ask that the judge, you exercise as much leniency as possible. Goodbye. And then they're all like relieved. I think Tough Girl, she's the only one who has to spend 15 days in jail and then a lot of years of probation. And everybody else gets like a few years of probation and they can't use social media for the entire time that they're on probation.
We're gonna have to censor this. What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Oh,
your kid nearly died. And you're like, I think this is punishment enough. No. Usually I'm like, no. Like, jail, No, my kid nearly died. Federal prison for the rest of your life. Like, oh, you basically grounded them for committing a violent crime.
Like,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's the thing too, because like, and it's really like, it's weird, because then like the mom like makes this whole big speech and she's like, and this is gonna follow you everywhere you go. Everyone's gonna.
No, it's not, because the girls were like, hee. We're just in a silly, goofy mood in prison. Like, obviously they don't feel the repercussions of this. They have no guilt in this situation.
No, like none whatsoever. And I was like thinking, I was like, okay, like honestly, like I don't know why you were so against the plea bargain. I feel like that would have been fine because like this is one thing that didn't really make sense because first, like I said, the daughter's like, life in prison. That I thought they'd get like a year in juvie. And then she's like, okay, well then let's revisit the plea bargain and we could still go for maximum sentencing. And I was like, wait, is that life in prison? She didn't want them to get life in prison. What is that? What is the...
Also, do they want them tried as adults? Or is this like, oh, you're just going to get a little slap on the hand and this will teach you a lesson? You can't do both.
Yeah, that's what I was really confused about with this conversation. Like, it didn't make any sense, like, what anybody was saying. But, like, I was mostly upset that the mom was making this whole thing about her. Because it was, like, not the point. And it's, like... But, yeah, so then they get they all get, like, a bunch of... Which is what happened in real life. I looked it up. Like, I think only... Although, this is, like, not throwing... I don't know if it's, like, one-to-one.
Who's the judge in this case?
But here's the thing. Okay, so I looked up and, like, I don't know how, like, this is part of the rabbit hole I was down in this whole thing. Seeing the video, I saw follow-up. Apparently, one of the people who was on probation, like, immediately violated probation and had to was in jail because... And this is why I don't know how credible this is. But it said... Took her grandma's car, drove it across a neighbor's lawn just to make them mad.
Girly, this is not a good look for you.
Like, and then I don't know if this is like the one-to-one on the Lifetime movie or the real life people, but like the question of class has once again been raised.
Yeah.
And it is lacking.
But what the hell was that?
So yeah,
15 days in prison with parole for violently assaulting and nearly murdering
also had to like pay
a 15-year-old.
I forget, was it restitution? I don't know. They had to pay something. Yeah. And like, does that go to Haley?
Yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, it's usually like, I don't know. You could consider restitution for like medical bills.
Yeah, okay. But a lot of times when it's like, oh, like you have to pay restitution to the victim or the victim's family, very rarely do they actually get the money? It's usually like it goes into victim services,
Yeah.
and like victim services pays for like, my mom's knocking on the door, I'm being too loud. That will usually pay for like public defenders and like things like that. So that doesn't help the family.
I see. Well, like nobody, I think a few people that were listed, I don't think anyone had to pay more than like $2,000. So I don't think justice was served, honestly. But like at the end of it, they're like, okay, let's go out the other way because the reporters are coming. And then Haley's like, no, I'm not afraid of them. I can take them on. And then she goes over and she walks out really empowered. And I'm like, I do not know what we were supposed to learn here as a class today. Like, this is like a prime example of like, look like you're saying something and say nothing. Because like, there was
look pretty and say nothing.
It was going to there were so many, like we were lining up, there were so many things that could have been said. This is just like missed opportunities, the movie. But
so what did we learn?
Don't post mean things online ever, even if they are very tame.
If you commit a crime, don't film it.
Honestly, yeah, that is what the movie was trying. That was the main thing to get across. Also, like, YouTube is bad, I think. The dad... Oh, yeah, this is one thing that I thought was really funny. I'll just bring this up. At one point, they're, like, talking with the media because, like, all the girls, they're like, we got to get ahead of this media thing because we got to get Haley's side of the story out there. So they, like, have this press conference kind of thing in the front of their house, and like they're just talking about the dad is like, there needs to be laws in place, and I'm like, there are. That's why those girls are in jail. There are laws in place. This is literally illegal. Because he's like, YouTube should be held accountable too for hosting this, and I'm like, I mean, like, I was really curious about how long the video was actually up on YouTube for, because like that's interesting. If it's like because it's public record, if that's okay, I don't know.
It's funny that there's all this commentary on like this shouldn't be allowed on YouTube, and then you look at YouTube as a corporation in 2022, where like you say a cuss word in one video, God forbid.
Right. It's really interesting.
This is a family website.
But it was such a weird argument. Like, again, like, I don't know if this will stay or get cut, but, like, I think it's just interesting because he's like, there need to be laws in place to protect children. And I'm like, there are. You're not allowed to assault people.
They committed a crime. The only reason they got away with it is because you let them. Because you asked for leniency.
But this was before they asked for leniency, so we didn't know that yet. But, like, they were about, as far, like, at this point in time, they were going to have the full extent of the law exercised against them. But
and they had this stupid change
It was
part.
just interesting because it reminded me about, like, how people are, like, there need to be laws that trans people can't use the bathroom because they might rape someone. It's like, there are laws. Rape is not allowed. Nobody's going to be like, oh, well, they're trans, so it's okay. They can't, oh, sorry, nothing we can do. It was a trans person who committed the crime. That's not how anything works, but... Okay, so that was Girlfight. We learned nothing. Oh, I think in talking amongst ourselves,
we learned a lot throughout this video from each other.
From the three of us. From the movie, we learned nothing.
Yeah, but it was
the movie was useless.
Movies are good conversation starters. That's what we're figuring out on this podcast, which is why we do.
Even if your conversation it has nothing to do with the movie, it's a good starter.
Yeah, and listen, if you. This is, like, from one true crime lady to, like, any others listening. If you want, like, an honest depiction of, like, what happened in this scenario, I'm sure there's a documentary or some YouTube lady telling the story. Don't watch this stupid movie.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But if you still want to watch it and you have Amazon Prime and you're a member of the Lifetime Movie Club, such as myself, then it's still on right now.
There's lots
I don't know how much
of
longer.
qualifiers.
Yeah.
Or you could watch more of us.
Yeah, just listen to me talk about them. We've got a whole playlist of other Lifetime movies. Betrayed at 17 is pretty good, honestly. Always be plugging. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. And thank y'all for listening. And remember to comment, like, and subscribe because we all need friends. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.